Have you ever thought about having your aging parent move in with you? If you have, you're not alone. Lots of people think about this and actually do it. And sometimes it's a great idea. It solves the problem of perhaps your parent who may be lonely or needs care and they're far away, and you're thinking this would be great to have them be enveloped in your family and get the care they need and be at peace in your home. That's the ideal. That's what we all think about. However, what we want to talk about is making sure that you consider all angles to this so that you don't get into a situation that isn't good for either you or for your parent. So, what are some of the things that you need to talk about with your parent and think about? First of all, you need to consider, is this something your parent actually wants? I have to tell you that I've had lots of conversations with the older adult who has said to me, I don't want to move into my child's home. Not because I don't love them. Of course I love them. But I have my own life and they have their own life. And I want us to be able to continue to live our lives independently and enjoy each other's company. So first of all, make sure your parent is even interested in this. That's the starting point. And then there are some areas that you want to consider. One of those areas are relationships. And I mean not just your relationship with your parents, but if you're either married or partnered or have kids, anybody who shares your home, how do all of those people get along with your parents? And if you have siblings, how are they going to feel about this if your parent moves in with you? How will it impact your relationship with your siblings if they don't contribute a lot in terms of time or financial resources or any other resources? So look at all the relationships that could be impacted and just consider those. Another area that you want to think about is the money. Are there going to be costs? One thing you always want to consider if you're having your parent move in with you is not just the current situation, but what could be coming in the future. And what if their care needs change significantly? Are you okay meeting those needs? And do you have the financial resources to hire people? Would you then consider a different living situation? But you want to be realistic because what is today will not be what is in the future. It will change over time. Another area, again, is the care needs. Can you meet the current care needs? Is it realistic? How does your parent feel about you being the one to do whatever care is needed, assuming care is needed? How do you feel about doing that care for your parent? Is that comfortable? Sometimes there are issues around privacy, or a father may not want his daughter helping take care of him in personal care needs, or vice versa. So these are all things that need to be considered, the current care needs and again, the future care needs. And then think about privacy. What is the setup of your home? So this goes in all sorts of ways, but think about, will there be spaces in your home that are only yours and only your parents, and then there are some common spaces, or is it everywhere that's common? I know a family where the parents moved in, and the first weekend the dad was standing in the kitchen, and the spouse of the daughter thought, oh my goodness, they're in all of the rooms now. They hadn't really thought through what this was going to be like to, on a weekend morning, see mom or dad standing in the kitchen when they got up to make a cup of coffee. So think about, what are private spaces, what are common spaces if you go through with this. And then think about your home in general terms. Will you need to do something to your home for this to work? Will you need to in some way adapt a living space? And what if care needs change in the future? Will that need to be adapted? So if you have your parent, let's say, in an upstairs area, and then they start to develop mobility issues, how are you going to deal with that? And then think about your time. This changes your time with, if you have young kids, with them, with your spouse or partner. It changes your time going out with friends potentially, or not. This is the conversations that you need to have with your parents. What does this mean? So make sure that you can accommodate the time this is going to take. And then think about the location. Now, this is especially important if you're moving your parent from a long distance to live with you. If they have a life there, if they have friends, They have all of their doctors there. They have all of their service providers there. Perhaps they belong to community or religious organizations, and then they come to live with you. You suddenly are the only person that they know, you and your family. So that means lots going to fall on you. So you have to think through, how do you help your parent recreate a life if they're still able to do that from the standpoint that they're not needing a lot of care right now. Now, I'm not trying to be negative about this. Moving your parent in with you could be the best thing for all of you. But what I have found in my experience is that people don't ask themselves these questions. And then down the road, it sometimes falls apart, or there are hurt feelings, or relationships suffer. So you can prevent that by just asking yourself some honest questions, answering them, and then having essential conversations with all of the people involved. You know, I say essential conversations are talking to the most important people about the most important things in our lives. And this is an essential conversation.